You're now going into week one of the playoffs. You played Tuscola. Now that you had time to dive into them more, kind of preparing for them, what are your thoughts?
They're a solid team. I mean, they're 5-4, but I don't think the record is indicative of how good they are. They play a pretty tough schedule. I think they're really sound defensively. They do stuff. They mix things up defensively as far as coverages and fronts go based on your offensive formation. So that's always kind of confusing, or you don't know what you're going to get exactly from an offensive standpoint. And then them offensively, they have a couple really good running backs. They have a talented receiver. And a pretty big offensive line. So I would say they're pretty well-rounded offensively and defensively.
And you're 10 seasons now at the helm. You've only missed the playoffs one time, 9 out of 10 years. What goes through your mind when you hear that number?
It's a testament to the hard work and to the kids and the other assistant coaches. We missed it the first year I was here. We actually went 5-4, but we didn't have the playoff points. So it's good. It's good to make the playoffs, but we're to the point now to where we don't just want to make the playoffs. We want to get higher seeds, and get to that 7, 8, 9 win mark and look to go beyond, the first, second round. So it's great to make it, but now I think we have to aspire to be a little bit better and go a little further in the playoffs. Going into Tuscola, I feel like we're pretty balanced offensively. I feel like we can throw the ball a little bit. We can run the ball. I feel like that's a strength. And I think defensively, with the exception of last week against Argentina, where we kind of had some brain farts, if you will, in some coverages and didn't play particularly real well. But defensively, I feel like we've been playing really well. So I would say defense, I feel like is a strength, and the balance on the offense we have, and the fact that we've really been able to stay healthy for the most part, I think is also a benefit for us.
Arthur and Sullivan played week 9, and Sullivan won that game. How do you feel like the conference has kind of set you up for success, knowing that you played two of the toughest teams in your conference? Now you go into playoffs with some momentum.
Yeah, Sullivan's a very talented team. I think they're kind of dealing with some injuries as well, but we saw them week 3, and they were fully healthy, and we were missing some guys too, and they got us pretty good. I think they beat us 42-6. So they're a very talented team, and Arthur I think is as well. That's a game that we kind of felt like let get away. We went down big at halftime, then kind of clawed our way back there in the second half. But those are two tough opponents that I hope will prepare us for the playoffs. And I think another one in the conference that made the playoffs is Sangamon Valley. They went 6-3, and we played them week 2, and that was a 14-7 ball game. So I feel like the teams we've played will hopefully prepare us to make a run in the playoffs.
Who do you feel now going into playoffs is your X factor?
I think it's hard to just pick one specific person out. I think that's what makes us decent offensively, is the fact that we just don't have one kid that we're going to rely upon. Grant Kaiser has the ability to run the ball, and then Logan Gerhardt showcased last week against Argentina that he can do it as well. Hudson does a good job of distributing the ball, and he's thrown to Zack Harmon and Kate McMeekin and Kelby Behrman. So I don't think we have one specific kid that you can focus on. I think that will help us as well, where teams can't, just focus on one guy and try to take him away. If they do, hopefully that will open up opportunities for other kids that we have.
Zack Harmon. Zack, Coach Watkins calls you the X factor on this team. What does that mean to you?
That means a lot from Coach Watkins, as he's made the playoffs 9 out of 10 years. And I just try to stay consistent on both sides of the ball with working on footwork, catching, and on the defense side of the ball, I like to keep the offense guessing. And on the offensive side of the ball, I try to show off all my athleticism.
How do you feel like kind of the bracket is set up for you?
It's okay. I mean, it's playoff football. You're going to see the best. You got to beat the best if you want to be the best. And our first round opponent is what we're focused on right now. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said, as a coach, you didn't look ahead to see what was down the road. More than likely, Camp Point plays Nokomis at Camp Point. I would think they would be favored if we would be fortunate enough to beat Tuscola. That'd give us a week 2 matchup there. And I know, we've never played Camp Point, but I know we've played some teams from the WIBC in their conference, and they're normally very, very tough, hard-nosed teams, and we haven't had a ton of success against them. And not to mention, it's about almost a 4-hour drive as well on a bus. So we have looked. We're not, like I said, looking ahead, but looking at the brackets, I think it sets up okay. And, you got Hardin there too, and Belleville Alltops, the 1 seed there, and Casey's there. So it's a good bracket. But again, that's what you expect in the playoffs. And you're going to have to, if you get to where you want to get to in the state championship, I mean, you're going to have to play those teams at some point.
Zack Harmon has been a very consistent player for you all year. You told me before how he's been such a reliable force for you. How critical is he now with the playoffs, knowing that you have a player like him?
He's huge. Again, we talked about not focusing on one player, and I think that's what makes us special. But yeah, he's a kid that's, you just don't have kids. I think he's 6'7" and about 215 pounds, and he's pretty quick for his size, and he's got a pretty good vertical jump. And I think this year he's kind of coming to his own. He was really good last year as a sophomore, but this year I think he's taken a more prominent role in the offense, and he's gaining confidence, and Hudson's gaining confidence in him. And I think that, everybody looks at the stats, but what he does as a tight end as far as blocking and stuff goes is really exceptional as well. And then not to mention on the defensive side, I was going through stats the other day, and I think he's got 8 sacks and 19 tackles for a loss and almost 70 tackles in a defensive end position. So those are some really, really good numbers. And he's a special talent, and he helps us offensively, defensively, on special teams. He's our punter, so he's very critical of what we want to do.
What would be your favorite part about coaching in the playoffs, knowing that you've coached in this for now 9 years?
I don't know. I always equate it to like Christmas, for adults, because it's a great time of year. I think what's the best is you get to see the kids, mature and grow throughout the season. It comes to this pinnacle here, and everybody's playing. The seniors are their last game, so everybody's playing as hard as they can, knowing that if they don't win or they don't execute, that you go home. But if you do get a chance to do that, you can advance to the next round. So it's win or go home, and I think it's just a great time of year. And there's a lot of excitement. The kids are, really excited about this opportunity too. So I just think, seeing the kids' excitement, seeing their development, seeing their maturation throughout the year, getting to this point is great. Now it's, there's the other side of it that, when it's over for those seniors, and that's never fun to take, or it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But the excitement that you experience leading up to the playoff game, there's really nothing like it.
You mentioned how the exciting part, losing to Casey in the first round last year, knowing that the kids knew what to expect last year, but now they're a year later, and now they get to play in the playoffs again. How much experience do you think that is now?
I think, last year it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but I think there was experience gained, from the kids that were underclassmen. We played a lot of sophomores last year. There were some juniors that helped us out. We didn't have a lot of seniors, but we talked to the kids, this year about the fact that the Blake McBeacons and the Braden Olmsteads and Hunter Kempers, they can't go back and play again, but you guys have that opportunity, so we need to make sure and take advantage of it. So I think it is something that we can draw from experience-wise last year. We also talked about the importance of getting to that 7th, 8th, 9th win. We got to 7. We got the home field advantage, so hopefully that sets us up. Obviously, having home field advantage and then playing, a team that's a little lower seed in Tuscola and 5-4. So the game last year, it didn't end like we wanted to. Our season didn't end like we wanted to, but hopefully we can draw from the experience of that last year, and that will help us on Friday night.
Tuscola obviously has had plenty of playoff experience. Stan Winky has done a great job in the past years for them, but knowing that they've had that experience, does that kind of maybe give you a little bit more of at ease, knowing that you've been in that spot as well?
I think they're a very tradition-rich school, and you mentioned, Stan Winky and Rick Reinhardt was there, and now Andy Romine, and we have nothing but respect for that program and the coaches, that are there now. But I remember in 2009 we played them, and we lost. We went up there. We were both 6-3, and I think it was an 8-9 matchup, and they beat us 16-0, and then they went on and ran the table, and won the state championship that year. And we played them a couple years. We had a 2-year contract with them, played them home and away, and we were able to get them one time there a couple years ago. Then they got us, so we're familiar with them. Only being 45 minutes away, and me being a football guy, that I'm aware of the history and everything, and their state championships. And I think they would consider 5-4 kind of a down year for their standards, but they're still going to be a great team, and they're going to be coached real well, and they're going to fight and play the game the right way. So have nothing but respect for the program of Tuscola and the coaches that are up there.
I'm most excited about the battle it's going to be, and you never know when it's the last game of your season, and in front of our home crowd it's going to be electric, and it's going to be exciting and intense.
And also for us just to host a home playoff football game, I think I was kind of crunching the numbers, and I think we've only done it 6 times, in our existence, and I think we've won 2 home playoff football games, so we've mentioned that to the kids. They have a chance to make history. So just that's exciting, and that's, it would be a great, accomplishment if we could do that. And again, just the kids, seeing them, the excitement it brings to the community, that they have, and I know they'll be excited and ready to go for Friday night.